Hey guys, what's going on? So today I'm going to be talking about the Trek Supercaliber 9.6 Gen 1 bike, circa 2021 according to the owner's manual. I'm going to go over the bike front to back. For those of you that saw my first bike check video on this bike, this is a rehash of it. Plus, I'm going to be talking about my impressions on it now, and also kind of and a few part swaps that I've done. So up front, I've changed up the brakes. The brakes were originally Shimano BR, I think 410s. These are Magura MT7s with the Magura HC3 levers, which have multiple adjustments, so you don't have to sugar your levers anymore. You can do you can change a bite point here, and it'll and your modulation, and there's 2 points of adjustment right here, and it kind of looks like an unhappy face, kind of funny, and right here. And so you can really dial in your brakes how you like it. This is a completely out of the box stock setup, and I already really like it with this bike. It's awesome. And so mated in the brake system are these Magura MT7 calipers. I took some Krylon paint, or my son did, and you know, we took out the rings and painted them. Same with back here. These Bontrager hubs, they run these are 6-bolt these are a 6-bolt rotor, or 6-bolt hub with the Magura Storm rotors on here, and a 180 to 160 rear end. And I guess if you took off the adapter, you could run a 140 if you really wanted to shave some serious weight. I of course use flat pedals. And then up front, originally this fork was equipped with a RockShox Recon Gold RL fork. It's a lot to remember, and it was in a 100 mil travel. This is a 2018 100 mil travel SID fork, and the reason they did it was to shave weight. This was originally on my GT Zaskar Carbon Pro, my 2018 one, but then I put a Fox 34 120 fork on there, and I like how this whole setup feels, so I probably won't change it out until I need to get it serviced. But I was just doing this to shave weight, plus to offset some of the weight for some of the things that I did, which is add super overkill Magura brakes and then a dropper post, because it's stock. It came with a rigid seat post, and also I did give up the remote lockout out back and out front. And I know originally when I had this bike, I was using a wolf tooth light action lever, but I have a spare one of these Paul dropper triggers, and I really like Paul stuff. I really it's a CNC piece of aluminum, and they make them in different anodized colors. They make them in like I think maybe I'll get one in red, but they do like polished gray, you know, just a few things, but the anodized stuff's always cool. But this one, I just had one of these because I broke another frame, and I just wanted to swap this out. And anyway, there's that. Also, something I had to get used to is the knock block system. It prevents your frame or the fork from smashing into your frame and stuff. And how it does that is this metal piece here. That metal piece hits this cup, and as you're turning, I'm explaining this kind of in a nutshell, and it stops it from fully going in and smashing into your frame. It's not 100% foolproof, and there are ways to get rid of it. One is, I saw this guy's video, and he basically took out this part and then had his bike shop buddy file out the little nub, so then he could get full rotation either way. So if you like doing BMX tricks, or a really nice tabletop jump or trick, not the tabletop jump in of itself, but you know, where you tilt the bike flat and then you turn your bar, that's going to be really hard. It's going to look a little bit janky with this knock block, but I see why they do it. They even have the little frame protection here in case this smashes into it, but that's kind of about it. Also, in terms of hubs, it's it's boost, so it's 110 here and it's 148 in the back. The Bontrager hub here is amazing. This Rapid Drive 108T, I think it's regarding teeth on there, Paul's. Awesome. This is a really incredible like it's my favorite rear hub that I've been on. And I've been on DT Swiss stuff, and I've also been on, of course, on Spinergy. If anybody knows what the hell's going on, it's September 2025. Did they go belly up or something? Because if you try reaching out to him, you can't. If anybody knows, let me know. But anyway, here, you got to hear the sound. It's so good. That's off of that. It's impressive. And frame size, this is a medium large. I'm about 5'7", and I fit this bike. This bike fits me just perfect. Like it's one of the most ergonomic setup out of the box nearly that I've had. And then for handlebars, it runs a typical 31.8 clamp diameter handlebar with a roughly about a 720 710 width handlebar up here, and it's aluminum, it's not a carbon thing. Same with the stem. And also, let's see, I'm just making sure I cover everything. This is running tubeless. It is running the Bontrager XR2 team issue tires in a 29 by 2.2. One thing you do have to be mindful of if you are going to run, you want to run a wider tire. I don't think you really can get away with much. For 2.2, I'm putting my pinky through here and hitting both sides. Like, I think putting a 2.4 here is going to be really difficult to do. And I think putting on maybe a 2.35, I'm gonna have to see. I do have a 2.35 tire, and just see and how I get along with it. But otherwise, I think 2.2 is gonna be, or 2.25, it'll be within, like, you don't have to worry about wheel flex and then it's hitting on your stays or whatever. It is pretty snug. Even down here, it's even tighter. Like, I can't even put my pinky through that. Just to give you an idea of how tight this how tight a 2.2 tire is on this particular bike. Back here, it's a Shimano drivetrain. It's Shimano SLX with a clutch, rear derailleur. And it's a 1x12 setup as well. Really, I have to say, I've had a lot of Shimano Tram Eagle stuff. I pop on this SLX and it's pretty awesome. And same with the shifter, Shimano Dior, 12 speed, rear shifter. And then here, what the guy has, this is actually a press fit bottom bracket. It's a PF92, kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. I think if this starts getting wonky, the bottom bracket, then I'll put in a Wheels Manufacturing one, and hopefully that takes care of the creaking. Because a lot of times for press fit stuff, like my ZAS car's having that issue real bad, no matter how many times we've addressed it. I'm gonna have to see if a Wheels Manufacturing bottom bracket will solve the creaking for a press fit. It's terrible. And at some point, I imagine, as hard as I read my Cannondale, I might run the same issue. But what the owner did is, for the medium large bikes, they're normally in like the, I think, 175 or 170 mil crank arm length. He switched it up with an SLX 165, and I can't exactly put my finger on if I feel a difference or not. I think if somebody told me, it's like you get a faster rotation or something, or you can smash onto you can hammer on it fast, you can accelerate faster maybe. But interestingly enough, I do pedal strike. But where I ride, which is tapeworm, sometimes there's parts of the trail where it's technical and rooty, and so it tends to happen quite a bit. So, but anyway, and then I'm using P&W Loam flat pedals. I really like nylon pedals. They're more forgiving on the shin when you do slip off your pedal and shin yourself. And fun part about this is a 3-bolt system, so you can fit 2 water balls here. two water bottle cages in here. If you do add this one, you got to move this one up, and so there's a bolt here and a bolt here. You just move this up, and then you have clearance for this. But by sliding it back, you can put like a larger water bottle, like usually like a 22 ounce bike water bottle on here, and it fits pretty nice. And this is a stock water bottle cage for this bike. Well, when I bought it anyway. And for those of you that don't know, I bought this bike off of Craigslist for about 1,500 bucks. It sat for nearly 2 weeks, and the only reason I didn't buy it faster is, number one, a lot of you know I'm a GT guy, and I already had the Cannondale, and I just kind of like, you know, not really big into this bike, and I had looked up reviews and videos and the cost of this bike, and I was kind of hum and hawing if I want to get it or not, because obviously I'm gonna have to spend more money to do certain parts changes. Anyway, what ended up happening on here is I figured I could buy it. If I don't like it, then I'll just sell it, and I'd sell it for more, to be honest. Or at least at the very minimum break even. Why I don't think this bike sold immediately is because of where the guy lives. So where I live is halfway between Seattle and where this guy lives, but where this guy lives is a real grind of a drive. Not a lot of people are fans of driving down there, especially you know, if you live in the Seattle area. And I think a lot of the riders who live in the Seattle or even Bellevue or the east side of on the other side of Lake Washington, it's just kind of it's a drive for them. But in my opinion, I was like, well, it's a $1,500 bike, and the guy, the reason he's selling it is because, you know, he's just been so busy with work. He hasn't even had time to ride in a long time, so he's like, to hell with it. Like, I'll sell the bike. If I ever get back into bike riding, I'll just buy a new one. And so that's why he was offloading this bike, basically. And what's cool is he did not ride the hell out of this bike. I mean, if he told me he only rode on paved pathways, I would have believed it. And now that I've ridden the hell out of it, it doesn't look as mint anymore, but it is a fantastic bike. The dropper, I should continue on, so I will. The dropper, or I mean, the seat post diameter is a 31.6. This is actually a OneUp 100 mil travel 27.2 dropper post internal. In my first video, I was using an external, and the only reason is because I was so excited to ride this bike and get it out and just see how it rode. And now that my friends over at GHY Bikes, so mystical, but because, you know, I didn't want to hassle with the internal routing on here, but I wanted to ride the bike, so that was a compromise. But here now it runs internal routing on this OneUp dropper with a shim. There's an actual 27.2 to 31.6 aluminum shim. You can get I got the part for like 10 bucks off of eBay, and the only reason I didn't buy a proper size dropper for here is because this was a spare. I originally had it on my GT Team iDrive frame, trying to get some lower clearance, because that old bike I actually still ride the hell out of, and it's still holding up. I don't know how, but I was trying to get the thing slammed down, like the shortest shaft possible, so I could have more clearance, and I didn't feel like I was high posting on that GT iDrive frame, because it is kind of a tall bike. But that was the only reason. So anyway, I swapped them out. So that one, my GT iDrive runs the external PNW, and this one has the OneUp now. And so GHY took care of this, and then they routed this, because I'm not great at doing internal routing, and I don't have the patience. And they also installed my rear brake as well, because I did not want to hassle with it. I'm not great at it, but at the same time, if I do a crappy job on such a premium bike, I'd feel pretty disappointed, to be honest. So that's the reason I did the front brake install, and because that's all external. But the internal stuff, this is not sleeved. So if you do any internal routing in here, get the tool, because none of this is sleeved. So if you put any kind of route any housing through here, you're gonna have to fish it out. And I didn't have the tools for it, so that's one of the big reasons why GHY, my buddies over at Go Huck Yourself Bikes, shout out to Benji and Dean and AJ and all them for doing this, because when I picked up the bike, it was fantastic. I was so excited to pick up the bike. I told my kid to bring dinner. Well, we were having dinner, but the shop closed in 30 minutes. I was like, just eat your dinner in the car. we drove, picked up the bike. It is fantastic. I love how this bike feels. And then the saddle on here, Bontrager does a good job. I have to give him a compliment on that. So this is the Bontrager. I don't even know how to pronounce any of this stuff anymore. Aeolus Elite. The width on here, I measured, it's about 146 wide and super comfortable. And up front, these Bontrager grips, these are really comfortable grips. Like, I'm impressed. The handlebar width on here is about, I think I covered it already. It's about 720 wide. And we covered the knock block system, covered tires. I'm just making sure we covered as many things as I wanted to get over before I talk about my ride impressions. Oh, and then yeah, pulse dropper trigger. So I like this bike. If anybody's interested in this bike, I will say a few things. Also, I should say 100 mil travel, 60 in the back. The Gen 2 runs 80. If you're interested in this bike, it's not plush. It's not remotely plush. It's not, if I compare it to my GT LTS sensor, or even compare it to my Intense 951 XC bike that I bought at Costco, they're both way more plush. This bike feels like a hardtail 100%. It feels like, and then when I rode my hardtail today, just to compare it, this feels very, very much like a hardtail. Where this bike shines 100% is the fact that it engages quick. It feels like a hardtail in its efficiency. And when you have a lot of chatter when you're riding, it really does a great job isolating that out. So it feels like you're riding a hardtail on a smooth road or a gravel road. So when you put power down, it's really, really like smooth. It's uninterrupted. Here, if I'm trying to put power down, or even if I'm descending, you know, it can get, you know, you're riding really rough stuff, and so it can get a little bit squirrely. Even with the Spinergy wheels that offset kind of the chatter, they do a good job. It's, you know, I'm still definitely on a hardtail, but here, just that short amount of travel on here is impressive. I even took this on like a jump line, and it's probably one of the fastest times I've ever done there on this trail section at Table called Quarantine. But overall, I was just cooking it on this bike. It feels like a hardtail. I would definitely qualify this as a soft tail bike, to be honest. And climbs real well. I think where the Cannondale shines is the Cannondale FSI feels like a road bike that became a mountain bike. It is really, it's really efficient. It's quick. Where this bike shines is if I'm running into trails that have a lot of chatter, they're not as smooth. Maybe there's aspects where they're fairly technical. I think this bike will do really well. But if I'm on a cross-country course where I could get away with being on a gravel bike, then the FSI will be the shining star. And then for a lot of other let me break this down. If anybody's in Washington State that races cross-country, I would definitely be on the fence about I would take my ZAS car to Swan Creek, or maybe this one. This one I might too. I think these are going to be my two primary racers. Because of the bottom bracket issue on the ZAS car, I think I got to retire it as a backup bike. But yeah, and I think if I was doing Grand Ridge, I'd probably be leaning on this bike quite a bit more. And if I was doing Dash Point, which is a hellhole of a long climb, the weight on here is noticeable when you're climbing compared to my FSI, which is about roughly 2 pounds lighter, 2-3 pounds lighter. And then when you're descending, it's not really fast and flowy. It's basically like a bike. It's like a hiker's trail that are just using for a bike course. So the turns are really abrupt and sharp, so I really just need to get up and around some turns pretty fast. If it's a bike trail, I guess, but man, it's worse than traffic circles for cars. But that's here nor there. But anyway, I'll do a shredded edit video on the Trek. Hopefully a lot of you like it. I know I haven't put out a big one, and my apologies to one of my buddies and subscribers, Eric. I know he didn't want to hear any of and a lot of my GT buddies, I know they didn't want to hear me say that the Trek is my favorite, has become my favorite bike. I didn't expect a Supercaliber to be my favorite cross-country bike, or actually just my whole bike in general. Like it's taken #1 with, I think, my LTS Force in the top 3, and then my Zasker and Cannondale fighting for 3rd, and the Intense is, you know, in a good 4th. Actually, it's hard, but definitely the Supercaliber, when people say it's like a cross-country super bike, it very much is high praise. I didn't think I'd like this bike as much as I do, but for the base model that it is for Trek, they did an awesome job. I don't know how the Gen 2 feels, but this bike, even though people talk about quote-unquote the steep head angle and whatever, this is the fastest cross-country bike in general I've been on. And with the Cannondale, you know, kind of in tow, I think that the Cannondale does make up for, if I was doing Once a Night Worlds, which is more of a, you can get away with being on a gravel bike in that course, this is a quick bike, and this would be in second. But I mean, I'm just impressed. Like it's an awesome. I don't regret ever buying the bike now, and I don't plan on selling it anymore. So that said, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. You know, and stay tuned for my shredded edit. I think I'm gonna do a video where I compare my times between this Trek, my Cannondale, my Intense 951XC, and my GT Zasker. Obviously, I'm a one-person camera crew, so it's gonna take a few weeks. But that said, thanks for watching. I'll catch you again next time. All right, bye.